Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sequoia Project podcast, the podcast dedicated to talking about the ins, outs, ups, and downs of business. We're on episode 14 now. My name is Coby, and I'm joined by my host, Dale.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, we're going to be covering advice this time, specifically the worst and the best advice that both of us have gotten in business. Most of my advice has been shit because it's come from Dale.
Absolutely. So you probably got some good shit from YouTube then for the best advice.
Yeah, exactly. Everything I've learnt was from YouTube and paying for really expensive courses.
Yeah, and seeing some like signs on bus stops and shit like that's probably better advice than I've given you.
Yeah, exactly. No, I went to Melbourne. I saw like those little things that they put on the bus stops while you're waiting for the tram, and they really just inspired me.
Get a business loan now, 25% interest. Oh, fuck, that's good advice.
Exactly. Like that's where I'm at. Like that's a lot of interest. That's definitely.
I'm interested.
I want 25% interest.
They've got my interest. There's so much interest. They've got mine.
Exactly. At least 25% of it.
Yeah. No, but yeah, the reason we're going to go through kind of the worst and the best, I think they kind of, I mean, obviously they go together, but I think starting with the worst advice is like, that's the kind of like, when you're just starting a business, especially if you'd like no one in your circle has started a business before or runs business or knows anything about business, you're probably going to get advice and you won't know it at the time, but it's probably going to be pretty bad.
Yeah.
Because the people who tend to give advice when you go, oh, I'm going to go out and start my own business, they're usually the people that are around you who haven't run their own business, but feel like giving you advice anyway. And it might be nice to get the advice, but we're going to give you some pretty good examples of why that is bad advice first. And then obviously, as you get further into your business career, the best advice will be the things that you hold, like the things that you hold on to, the things that you use kind of every day and how you operate. So, we're just going to go through some advice now. Hopefully you've already got some advice in the 14 episodes that you go, oh, that's pretty good. But, we're going to pump through some advice and then we're going to finish off with, this segment, the balance sheet. How do we balance it, getting good and bad advice, and how do we actually decide for ourselves what's good and bad advice? So, let's kick this off with the worst, Cobes. What do you got? What's some of the worst? Mine are in no particular order. I don't know if yours are like ranked, but mine aren't ranked. I've just had very bad general advice. What do you got?
One of the bad things that I got was when I was doing a lot of research when we were doing the marketing sort of stuff, and it was that you have to make a hard sell. Like your goal is to sell on the very first call.
That's good. Yeah.
That is awful advice. That is terrible.
Yep, for sure.
It's so pushy. And like when I went in and did some calls with them, like because we were doing our market research and going in, taking calls, all that sort of stuff, seeing like how other people were doing it, they were so pushy and I felt so uncomfortable. Like there was one point where I was doing one, obviously won't name any names, and they were like, oh, well, like how much is your business making? Obviously like your base questions when I was doing that sort of stuff. They're like, well, have you got $8,000? I was like, well, yeah, but they're like, oh, well, then you can afford it. Like, what are you losing out on? I'm like, well, I don't want to just spend $8,000 up front without like actually considering all the decisions and everything. And like, that's a decent amount of money. And it's like, well, like I know how much your business makes. Obviously, you make enough to be able to afford this. And like, why wouldn't you do it? I'm like, oh, come on, man. Like, can you fucking leave me alone? I don't want to spend like $8,000 right now.
Yeah, why don't I just go and buy a Ferrari? You know, just because I can afford it, why don't I just go and buy it right now? Like, yeah,
exactly.
Fuck, dude, that is actually a really good way to kick off the bad advice segment. The funny thing is especially what you said about trying to sell on the first call. You don't even know if that customer's any good for you. Like you don't know if you want them, let alone just trying to rip $8,000 out of their pocket. What's I mean, we have a very organic sales style. Like our whole thing is educate the customer, give the customer if you're good at sales, your customer should be able to make an educated decision by the end of the phone call. Whether it's good or bad is not your job, but they should be able to make an educated decision by the end of that phone call. But what have you done, bro, in your experience, like when you make calls that makes you feel like it's organic rather than that pushy shit? Like just to give the guys an opportunity to see how you would like to do it.
Yeah. Well, like for people that don't know, during the week I work at Nutrition Warehouse, which is nutrition shop. I mean, I feel like it's very standard what it would be from the name.
It's also worth pointing out that Coby is jacked and he's flexing on camera right now, but he's been bodybuilding for like what, two years now?
I started the gym when I was 16. I'm 22 now, and actually going all in for probably 2 to 3 years now.
Yeah, he's our resident He's our resident buff boy. So
Resident buff boy.
just in case anyone didn't know that or hasn't seen the video. Yeah, continue, bro.
Well, weekends are obviously most of where like wedding work's done. So throughout the week, I wanted to go talk to people, get out of the office. But what I do, even on like wedding calls and all that sort of stuff, is I just talk. The thing is I very much am a type of person that can match the personality to whoever I'm speaking to. So if someone's coming in with a real calm vibe and everything like that, I'll match it. Someone's swearing towards me, I'll swear back at them and like kind of completely match that.
I'll just swear at them.
Yeah, I'll be like, fuck you.
Buy this shit.
But there's people that have come in, they're like, I just want to like, say like in the gym, if they're buying a pre-workout, they're like, I just need to like be pinging off the walls. I'm like, all right, so you're looking for like liquid crack. That's what you're after.
That liquid crack, yeah.
Yeah. You try and kind of match their vibes.
Just
and the whole time of what I'm doing is I'm not actually selling anything to them. I'm just talking. I'm going, well, here's my experience using this sort of stuff. Here's kind of what most of this has in it. Personally, I'd go for something like this. But completely up to you. The whole goal of what I have is to let them know basically my opinions, my experience, educate them on whatever it has and how it's going to benefit them. And then the thing I do at the very end is go, I'm going to leave that with you, give you that chance to have a quick look around. If you have any questions, reach back out to me. They've got everything that they need there. 9 times out of 10, they'll grab the exact one that I recommend and bring it up to the front.
Yeah.
And that's just because you're not telling them, all right, like, do you want me to grab this and bring this up the front for you? It's the fact of they've been educated now. They've still got that chance to look around and give that kind of options. But you've given them the most information clearly on the one you want them to go. So their brain is going to think that's their own kind of decision. Yeah. That they're going that way because they've made that decision after having a conversation with you, even though you've been slowly pushing them towards getting that certain thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, and that's organic sales, is when the customer feels like it's their decision rather than someone made them do it. That's when you don't get things like, you get way less refunds, you get way less, way better word of mouth because people don't feel like I was forcing it. And you don't have that customer regret or remorse as well. Like no one's coming back and being like, I only bought this because Coby forced me to buy it. It's more like, oh, okay, I didn't know what I should be looking at. Now I do. I've got this recommendation and now I'm making a choice on what I should buy. Based on the information I have.
Yeah, something like weddings, I don't even sell. I just talk because most of what the photos, people have seen the photos. Everyone can
they speak for
so
themselves.
many photos. Yeah. The thing is, if I'm going to be with them for a full day, they're going to want to know my personality.
100%.
So that's a point where I get to be just completely unapologetically me, and I will throw out who I am. I'll just chat shit with them. I'll do absolutely anything, kind of see what vibe they want for the day, let them know kind of who I am, what I'm going to do, how I run days, that sort of stuff. I don't even tell them anything. Like they get sent all the pricing and all that sort of stuff. I don't even make them book at the end.
Yep.
Anything after that, that's completely their decision. I'll follow up a couple of times, just make sure that they kind of, if they want to do it, if they don't want to do it, try and get a response, whether it's a yes or a no is my goal. If it's a no, that's completely fine. If it's a yes, obviously we're great and we'll move on to the next part. But that's not even sales. I don't even sell through any of that sort of stuff. I just talk.
Yeah. And I think something that's really worth pointing out to the listening audience is what Coby's doing there is something that we've talked about on the podcast, and it sounds so casual coming from Coby because he's very experienced in this. We talk to a lot of people. We do a shit ton of conversing with our customers, and we have done over the years as well. But something very important is you may have heard us talk about on podcasts previous to this that you want you to sell your customer the things that you know they struggle with outside of the service. So, for example, like Coby said there, everyone's seen the photos. Like people know we take great photos, and people have seen the reviews and all that kind of stuff. If they're looking at our website, they already know that. Or if they've heard of CE Media, they already know what kind of stuff we do. If you're booking a photographer and paying thousands of dollars, you assume they're going to be good at their job. So they're not actually buying the photos. What they're buying is the experience on the day, and that's what Coby's giving them by going, like one thing you're not going to have to worry about by conversing with me about your big day is you're not going to have to worry about your photographer. I'm not snobby. I'm personable. I can talk to people at the wedding. I can have fun and, kind of fit into the background where I need to. And you're just not going to have to worry. If you talk with me on the phone, you're not going to have to worry about your photographer for the day. That's why people book with Coby without him having to push, because The last thing a bride and a groom want to be doing is going, oh my God, people hate the photographer. Everyone's complaining about how snobby he is. Everyone's complaining about how pushy he is. You don't want that. You just want to cut your cake, dance,
No.
and have fun and be married.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I mean, I've ended
that's
up
what Coby's
on
actually
the
selling.
dance floor with so many of
Yeah.
the people, and that's just because that's the kind of vibe that I want to give off to them, and they like. And the amount of people I've given the camera to, I'm like, take photos, like go have fun with that, and then bring it back to me. Just don't break it, and then like,
yeah.
they enjoy stuff like that. It's a different experience that like people don't get.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what he's actually selling there. So that's why that bad advice has turned into good advice there, which is, you don't have to be pushy. Sales.
I felt so uncomfortable too. Like,
100%. Imagine that. Yeah. Imagine being a customer, especially like imagine buying something like anything, whether it's your wedding photography or video, or like just buying anything that's worth a lot of money to you as a customer, and then someone just being like, "Oi, buy it now. Why aren't you buying it? You don't have a reason for not buying it. Buy it now." Like, oh my God, I'd fucking rather punch myself in the face.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, that's bad advice. It's trying to sell. Just if you're trying to sell 24/7, people can feel that. Like, just don't assume that people can't feel that. Like, oh, I'm being sneaky about how I'm selling. No, man. If you're fucking asking some dude for money 24/7, it's not a good feeling, and people are very receptive to that as well.
I still feel so uncomfortable asking for money. Like at the end of so many shoots, I've been like, can I get paid? All good if not though. Like that's so fine.
No, but that's the thing. The good thing is if you do like our sales system, which is inform the customer until they make a decision. They make a decision that they're confident they want to go with you, and then at the end of it, you provide such a good service. So you go so over and beyond. They want to pay you.
Exactly.
That feels good. When someone's chasing you up to pay your invoice, that's very different to you being like, pay now, pay now, pay now, pay now. Credit card details, credit card details, credit card details. So yeah, it's for me personally, and like there are people out there that would just love to just grab people by the throat and take their wallets. That's great. It's just not for me. I just don't want to do
so many times when we started, like we weren't charging a lot, but we were giving a good experience. And how many times did I come back to you and I was like, they like just paid me $50 extra than what I asked.
They paid
like,
more.
That's fucking
We don't even take tips, but they were just like, no, we're going to give you $200 instead of $100 or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah. And that's the good thing is, like, again, and that's the way that I like to do business is I like to give the customer an experience where they're like, I'm making this decision because it's the right choice for me. And they want to chase you up and pay your invoice because they're like, I got so much out of this. I need to pay this person. I need to show this person how much I appreciate. And that's just a different way of doing business. Works for some people, doesn't work for others. Let's jump on to another point because we're already, I mean, what are we in? We're 10 minutes in and we've only spoken about one thing.
I brought a really good point up. That's my bad.
Yeah, but it was really good. It was really good. So I'm going to skip one of mine because
it's trash.
Well, I think we just covered in there, but I'm going to go to number 2, which is some of the worst advice I ever got was don't trust anyone to do a good a job as you.
Yeah.
That was some of the worst advice I ever got because I thought when I would hear that over and over again, I thought that, oh, well, shit, like the minute I get someone else on, the minute I hire someone else to do this job or to help me scale this business, they're just not going to give a shit. They're not going to do it as good as me and my customers are going to hate them and stuff like that. It's actually not true at all. If you know how to hire and if you know how to train, and you give people a vision about the business and the customer that you have, and they align with that, they will do as good a job as you ask them to do. All you need to do in advance is set that example over and over and over again so they can be like, this is possible, and he's making it look easy.
Yeah.
That is when I decided to not listen to that advice. I listened to that advice at the start. I was doing everything myself. Got to a point where I was like, even if I had a shit person on, I would like I'm by not working those extra jobs, I'm losing money. So even if I had a shit person on, I would still make that money, still make more money. But because I was so cautious about this, I was like, no, I'm going to set the standard. They're going to come in the truck with me before I give them their own truck and before I get them to send out and talk to customers. They're going to come out with me 100 times. And I'm going to say, this is the standard, this is the standard, this is the standard. I do this every single day. Until they're like, oh, I want to operate like that. I want to be that guy. I want to be on time every time. I want to talk to the customer that way. I want people to respect me that way. That is when people will do a good as job as you. And I've got fucking 7 years experience now of 50 people doing as good a job as I do every single day. So yeah, that was really bad advice at the start. No, like don't trust anyone to do as good a job as you. If you can't let go of the reins, you're limited to 24 hours in a day.
I think that's also like on the back end of that, like if people don't do it the same as you, it's wrong.
Yes.
Because I mean, so many people you can bring into your business, and if they have a different opinion on how something can be done, it can be completely like something that you may not have even thought of because obviously
Mm,
you're not in their head, you're not thinking the same way they do, and it could be something that's going to bring something completely different to your business. So
yeah.
on the back end of that, if it's still at your standard, but it's something different that can help, like
Yeah.
different doesn't
And
always
that's
mean bad.
100%. Different does not always mean bad. That's actually a part of good advice there, because if you haven't seen something from a certain, like if you don't have a certain experience that someone else does, you might not see it the same way. They could have an idea that saves you 10% of time or makes
Mm,
you 20% more money. You haven't considered it. Just because you didn't consider it doesn't mean it's wrong. That segues straight into a little bit of good advice, which is understand what your business needs when you're hiring. So,
yeah,
for example, some of the best advice I got, and I'm flip flopping a little bit here, but this is really really important on this topic. Some of the best advice I ever got was, don't be afraid to hire a lazy person. Now,
yeah,
that sounds like shit, and everyone's like, why would I want to hire a lazy person? Someone who's inherently lazy will find the easiest way to do something if they have to get a result, because they're lazy. They don't want to do more work than it takes. So I was over here going, I've got dogs, man. I got guys that work their asses off, and they're highly strung, like their brains are on all the time, bang, bang, bang. And then I was having a conversation with somebody. He's like, yeah, he's like, at least 1 in 10 hires, I try and hire a lazy person for the same role. And I'm like, why the fuck would you do that, man? You're throwing money away. He's like, no, I'm not. He's like, guys that want to get shit done all the time, they tend to overthink. They add steps that don't need to be added. Lazy
yeah,
people take steps out. And he's like, they're not, he said, you need to know how to use a lazy person, just like you need to learn how to use a driven person. But he said, don't be afraid to hire a lazy person. Don't be afraid to get a different perspective on something that you already do. Now, it's good to have dogs. It's good to have guys that just want to work 24/7 and just do what's on the page. But there's also an avenue, which is really good advice, to get people who look at things differently on your team. Because they're going to see, if you've got everyone on your team is exactly like you, they're going to see the world the same way you do. You start to change that perspective affordably, you're going to get a different perspective. So that's a
absolutely.
really good and bad advice to go hand in hand there. What else you got, Cobes?
Probably the best. Wait, do we want to go into best? We're up like 17 minutes now.
Yeah, let's get a few goodies in there.
Yeah. The best, I want to say literally the best advice that I've ever gotten was from you.
Mm.
So pat yourself on the back there. And it's not what you say, but how you say it.
Yeah, that's on my list as well.
Yeah, that's the one thing that we've always lived by, and it's always made so much of a difference. And that I tell so many people, because I was even told that back when I was managing the gym, and that's what I'd teach my staff in their sales was it's not like what you say to them, it's going to be how you say it and all that sort of
Yep,
stuff. That has
100%.
always been something that's probably the best advice you've ever given me,
Mm.
um, and that I live by literally every single day.
Yeah, for sure. There has been times in my career and in Kobe's career as well where he's been like, "Oh, I'm just going to send this to a customer," and I'll be like, I'll just change 10 of the words in the paragraph, and it sounds like a completely different thing.
Mm,
And then it's like day and night. It's like, oh, dude, I would love to get this message. This other message, I might not feel so crash hot about. We're saying exactly the same thing. It's just how you say it that matters. And
yep.
this is probably the most practical communication advice that you can get. Like, in terms of how much yield you'll get for the time that you spend focusing on it. Um, it's if you can even apply this into just like talking to your partner or talking to your friends or like whatever it is, you can see the difference immediately. It's never what you're saying; it's always how you say it. So that is very good advice. And that is on my list as well. I've got I've got some grassroots um advice here, which is it's not even just pertaining to business or anything like that. It's basically just a life philosophy. Is
Okay.
some of the best advice I ever got that I took very personally was, there's no such thing as special people. Like there's no such thing as like someone is just like so so much more like, you know it's literally, when you think about someone as special, it's an ordinary person doing extraordinary things.
Hmm.
That is some of the best advice I ever got, because it makes being extraordinary simple, which is, I don't have to have 1,000 IQ. I don't have to be the fastest runner. I don't have to be this gifted person to be extraordinary. And every ordinary person can do extraordinary things. And that is, if you want to live an extraordinary life, you want to have an extraordinary business, you want to be an extraordinary husband, boyfriend, son, whatever, you can be who you are right now. All you have to do is decide to do extraordinary things. So that was really good advice for me. Just starting out is just make a choice. If you want to be extraordinary, do extraordinary things. Do things that regular people wouldn't do, and you can do that.
That's good.
Yeah,
I like
that was
that.
really good advice. That was some of the best advice I ever got.
And it wasn't from me.
No, that wasn't from you. Yeah, that was actually from my old man. I got to credit my old man for that one.
My old man called me special.
Good, good. We're going in a different direction there, but that's good.
Oh, fuck.
What else have you got? What else have you got?
What else have I got? What can I pull out of my ass here because of my lack of preparation?
I got 10 of these. I can go again.
What else you got?
All right, I'm going to go with a quick worst one. I'm going to go quick bad advice here.
Okay.
Some of the worst advice I ever got. Didn't know it at the time. If you're a services business, especially, you cannot afford to turn down work. Very, very bad advice. And in the beginning, when I didn't have the work, I thought to myself, oh yeah, that's good advice. I should take all the jobs I can. It's actually, it actually hurts you more than it helps you. And it might look good on paper, but what you should be doing is you should be taking on the most profitable job for the time that you can spend. So if you've got 10 jobs lined up at the door and everyone wants to work with you, you shouldn't be taking the first one that comes in and going, oh, okay, yeah, you guys text me first, so I'll just do your job. You should actually be looking at it from a point of view of what is going to be the best leverage for my time, because there are so many things that can happen. People can say, oh, I don't have the funds anymore. We're going away on holiday, whatever it is. And if you've lined up all your workflow just because you couldn't, quote unquote, afford to turn down work, you might actually be shooting yourself in the foot. So it sounds like it could be good advice, especially if you're in early days of service business, but it's actually terrible advice, because how you should look at it is, what is the best use of my time day to day, month to month, year to year, rather than I'll just take whatever comes. What's going to happen is you're going to spread yourself really, really thin, doing a bunch of jobs that you don't have a ton of experience doing. And because you're doing a different job every day, or you're servicing a different type of customer every day, you're not going to actually get a chance to be an expert at that for years and years down the track. If you just go, these are the jobs that I want, these are the jobs that make the most money, I'm going to prioritize these and I'm going to backfill everything else, you'll get fantastic at the jobs you want. You'll get word of mouth and repeat business for the stuff you want. You won't be doing so much of the shit you're not good at or doesn't make money. So that was really bad advice.
I do actually have one, and I want your opinion on it, because it's something that we had to talk about a lot early on, especially being a photographer, but it was that you have to niche down. And that was what I heard in everything, when it was always photography advice, marketing advice, like all this sort of stuff. You have to niche down. What is your thoughts on that? Do you think it's...
I think it's situational, and I think the reason I'm gonna put half of that in the bad advice and half of it in the good advice, because it's kind of both. Using the terms "you have to" is bad advice. You actually don't. You actually don't. If you have it, it really depends on your skill set, the market, location, reach, everything. If you have fucking 10 million followers on a personal Instagram or brand account, you don't have to do anything, because you can put a message out there and have 10 million eyeballs on it. You don't have to niche down. If you've got a general account that's just your personal account with 10 million followers, try telling that person they have to niche down. No, mate, they can fucking sell whatever they want. The audience is already there. When you don't have an audience, niching is better. That's just how it is, because you can, instead of trying to appeal to everyone, you're just trying to appeal to one specific kind of person, which makes it easier to get feedback and easier to get your wheels actually turning and build momentum. Niching down is a tool for people who have less experience in business, because you can actually say directly to a group of 5 customers, do you like this thing, yes or no, rather than trying to find something that 5 million customers want. That's really all it is. So I think the bad advice is you have to. No, it's actually situational. To give you an example, is all the biggest businesses in the world actually work out of niches. So when Amazon started, they just sold books. They niched down. They figured out how to operate the systems. They figured out how to manage the warehouse. They figured out how to do all that. And then the better they got at business, they actually got out of a niche. Netflix, giant inception business with tons of startup capital. Everyone that was involved in that had done business before. They didn't start with just cowboy movies. They started with every type of movie because they didn't have to niche down. The niche was, we'll give you streaming instead of buying DVD. That's
Mm.
basically the whole thing. Or going to the cinemas. But everyone, like, they weren't like, oh, we'll just sell to 20-year-olds. No, everyone can watch Netflix. It's not a niched product because they already had experience in business. They already knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do it. So I think the bad part of that is you have to. You absolutely don't. The good part of that is if you don't have an audience, if you don't know how you're doing, if you're new at business, niching down makes it easy to get feedback. So
Yeah.
kind of a 50-50 there. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when we started off with the photography, we didn't niche down. We did literally everything. We took on everything, every shoot that we can. And I think it's only recently, actually, in the past little bit, that we've niched down to focus purely on weddings, just because we knew that was where our time is going to be best spent for a full day's work.
100%. You could do 2 days a week on that, and in terms of the limitations of what people will pay for shooting someone's birthday or going to like shooting a concert or something like a small band concert or something like that. Like those people will pay up to $500. Is kind of the max. Then people are kind of like, yeah, like that's a bit expensive.
Exactly.
We don't want to do it. But in terms of, I mean, you can shoot one wedding and do a week's worth of work. So you just trade a Saturday for 5 days of the week. It's just so much better on the time. So we niched down because it was what's best for the business. Kind of in my last example, where we just said, all right, well, we can still, it takes the same amount of effort to sell it. We make 10 times the money and we work 1 day a week instead of 7. That's great. Yeah. So, I think it's, you absolutely don't have to. I mean, shit, I didn't, like, I niched down in terms of the industry. I'll collect your garbage, but I didn't say I'm just taking aerospace waste. Like I took whatever you needed, green waste, general, you name it, I'll take it. So it's situational, but good advice and bad advice there. What do we got? We got a couple. Let's go. A couple minutes left. You want one more?
Yeah, let's go one more.
One more, and then we'll just balance it off with, I think, how we separate advice now. 2.5 years experience, 7 years experience. How do we balance out when someone says something to us, whether we take it on or not? Yeah. I would say this is more of a personal thing. I'm going to shotgun this thing. I'm going to do 2 back to back.
Okay.
The first one is very simple because I don't have to explain it. If everyone else thinks you're crazy, you're probably doing something right. That was very, very good advice. If everyone's just going, that'll never work, or like, that's a crazy idea or whatever it is, it means you're probably on the right track. I'm not saying that idea, you shouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to come up with, jetpacks for, birds. Like everyone is going to call you crazy. But what I'm saying is, if you're building something and people are just like, oh, you should be charging way more, or like, whatever it is, you're probably in the area. If everyone agrees with you and everyone says, oh yeah, no, like that's great. 1, it probably already exists. And 2, you're not going to shake things up, because when you come into the marketplace, it's going to be like, yeah, everyone expects that. That's just a normal, general garden variety idea. So don't be afraid if people are kind of looking at you weird and being like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. I mean, when I started Sequoia Project, the first thing that I charged for was $25 a week. And in terms of what all my other businesses did, everyone was like, dude, you're wasting your time. You should be charging tens of thousands of dollars. Why are you even doing this? But the vision that I had was so much different. And because they were calling me crazy, it just made me want to do it more and more, because I knew there was going to be something at the end of that. That turned into, we charge $25 a week for me to just check in on you on Monday and Friday. But now we own part equity in 13 different businesses because we did that. So it's like everyone called me crazy at the start, but the bigger plan was we got people in the door at a level they could afford. We gave them way more value than they could ever expect to get for $25 a week. And then at some point they were like, would you invest in my business, or can I bring you onto this business so you can help me make money and you can earn equity on everything we earn? And now we own part of 13 companies like that. So it's when you get that crazy kind of idea, don't be afraid to explore it. If people are telling you it's crazy, it's too cheap, it's this and that, if you've got a plan, you're probably on the right, you're somewhere along the right path. And the last one for me, best advice, I actually gave myself this advice because it's something that I had to learn. But if you can learn it without having to teach it to yourself, you'll save yourself probably 5 years. Almost every person on earth has access to some value of currency, money, they trade goods, whatever it is. If you're going to compromise your morals and compromise who you are for something as common as money, then you didn't have morals to begin with. Okay? Every house on your street, there is money in it. Every person that owns a wallet, there is money in it. Everyone who has a debit card, there is money in it. If you're going to go, I will trade, the devil gave me a better deal, I'll trade everything that I have inside me for everything outside me, you probably didn't have very strong morals to begin with. Money is very, very common. Be the kind of person you want to be, not the kind of person that trades that for some dollars, because
There
it's
is
very
no
common.
money in my wallet. Just
There was
receipts.
just just to say, well, make sure you're lodging them fuckers, all right? Make sure we're claiming that shit. Anyway, let's cap that off and let's go into the balance sheet. So, Cobes, how now, with 2 years experience, how do you
How now,
go?
brown cow?
How now, brown cow? I actually called that myself. How do you now, with 2 years experience, look at when someone gives you advice, when you're talking to someone about business, whatever, they give you advice, how do you separate the good from the bad? And
Yeah.
maybe try and give me a quick idea of how that's changed from 3 years ago before you got into business.
Yeah, I just don't listen to anyone. So
That's good. That's actually good advice.
no, I just kind of, which I think I've only learned pretty recently from you, is when I get advice, if I can implement it now and test it, then that's good advice. If I can't implement it now and it doesn't apply to me, it's not real.
Yep.
That's kind of how I take it on at the moment, and that's what I say. Like even to Jai, he's like, "Fuck, I need to do this thing." I'm like, "Well, can you do it now?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Well, then it's not real. Doesn't matter."
It's not. It's not simple enough.
Yeah. That's the big thing that I got at the moment. I used to take on everything. When I first started, I've got this kind of brain that if I'm learning things, that I won't take on anything unless it actually interests me. I was a pain in the ass at school. But if it didn't interest me, I wouldn't take it on. So the only things that I actually listen to are things that I find interesting or that I actually think are somewhat important to me. If I decipher the fact that I'm like, well, this has absolutely nothing to do with me, I don't even own a business in here, I'll kind of like break down what might apply to me, which could just be general levels of advice from any other kind of business. Most businesses, they have the same base level. But anything else that I literally, if I cannot do anything with it, or if I can't implement it now, or if it's too hard, literally if it's too hard, I'll be like, well, no, I'm not dealing with that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's a good way to balance it out, because if it's too hard and you can't actually get it to a point where you can go, all right, I understand this and I can implement this, then it's not simple enough. It's too complicated. You're going to spend more time trying to figure it out than you are actually using it. And by the time you get halfway into figuring it out, you'll have more advice, and then you'll be trying to figure out that, and
advice
you just won't
shouldn't
get
be
anything
difficult.
Done. Yeah, 100%. I what my thing, which goes straight into my thing, how I do it. If you know what you're talking about, you can say it in a sentence. So if someone's going to give me advice and they're waffling on and going, oh yeah, and you're kind of going, well, I'm getting lost in this. If they're doing that, as far as I'm concerned, I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. No matter how complicated the concept, if you can say it in a sentence, then you know exactly what you're talking about. So that's my first criteria: is if someone's going to give me advice, if I say explain that and they hit me with a sentence and I go, that makes complete logical sense, I'll take it on board. If they can't do that, mate, you don't even know what you're talking about, so I'm not going to listen. So that's the one thing. If it is good advice, I usually, if it passes that check mark, I usually just try and break it. So I usually just go, cool. With everything I believe and everything I know now, are the things that I'm doing now better than the thing that I'm getting? And if I'm like, no, they're not, then I bring it on board. If they're like, no, I think my systems are better, then I leave it where it is. And it only has to pertain to the goal that I'm trying to solve, or I'm trying to accomplish. If it doesn't attribute to my goal, if you come to me and you say the best way to get whale oil is, I'm going to be like, bruh, I ain't trying to get whale oil. Leave me alone. I don't need that information in my life.
You never know. You might.
But yeah, and that's the thing. So if I know what my goals are, which you definitely should do, I highly recommend having that. You know what your goals are. You have a criteria for how you get advice. They have to be able to explain it in a sentence. You have to be able to not break it and compare it to what you're using now. If it's simple and you can understand it and you know it's going to get you a better yield, you should implement it. If it doesn't have anything to do with your goals, piss it off, because there's no point understanding how to change a head gasket in a car if you're trying to fucking live on a boat. Like there's no point getting a 10 fucking step advice on how to live in the desert if you don't live in the desert. It's just as simple as that. So that would be my thing there. We're basically right on time there. So hopefully you guys got some good advice and can avoid some bad advice, or at least learn how to avoid some bad advice from this episode. As usual, all the links are in the description. Ask questions, get involved. We've got time in our calendars. We actively make time in our calendars for people who come through the podcast and support the channels and do that. So we'll answer all your questions, and whatever you need, just hit the links.
You're doing the outros now. You're doing
I figure I put all the intros on you, so I may as well do the outros. All good.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much for listening, guys.
We'll
Fantastic.
see you guys in the next one, episode 15.
Take care.
Bye.